The president is a fountain of honor. He's the chief executive of this country. He's the consumer of all kinds of information, intelligence, and so on. And so when he says the people who are fighting corruption are corrupt, I want to have confidence that he has his information, and it is on that basis that he makes a statement like that. But certainly, as a country, we have struggled with the fight against corruption. I think it is a society-wide problem which cannot be left to the heads of anti-corruption institutions alone. If your society is corrupt, the heads of anti-corruption institutions alone will face a big challenge standing in this sea of corruption. But again, the reason why these heads of anti-corruption institutions are placed in those positions is because there is trust in them and there is confidence in them that they are the right people to lead those efforts. And for that reason, it is very sad that we have the president making comments like that based on the information he has, which I believe is based on some credible information available to him. But my position and my belief, I strongly believe that if you're the head of any anti-corruption institution like the DPP, you must be a champion of anti-corruption. That means you must lead the fight and efforts against corruption. And so I am looking forward to strengthening the systems here internally, the workflows, reduce on the human interaction. I am looking forward to roll out and implement a very aggressive digital prosecution strategy to quicken the processes of decision making, improve on our complaints management system, but also strengthen internal mechanisms for detecting corruption. We're talking about the internal complaints mechanism, complaints against our staff, to quicken processes of reviewing case decisions in matters where the complaints about cases and how the cases have been influenced. But also, I think I also want to set up I think it is my wish to set up an integrity committee. Maybe, I don't know what I'll call it, maybe an integrity and ethics committee for the office of the DPP, whose mandate should really be to encourage and promote a culture of ethics and integrity within the institution, so that every officer in the office of the DPP, beginning with me and the top management, should be of unquestionable integrity. And I think those strategies will essentially, I think they will contribute to that fight, and hopefully they will change the president's mind about his view about heads of anti-corruption institutions. Our approach is simple: prosecute upon credible evidence. As simple as that. Investigate any allegation of corruption by any public officer, senior or junior. And once the investigations are done, I am assuming the investigation should be done fairly but firmly. And if there is evidence of an offense committed, I believe public officers must be prosecuted, and we will prosecute them very vigorously and very firmly. I am sure you've heard about prosecution-guided investigations, and so especially in our high-profile cases, you talked about high-profile corruption cases. So we have agreed with the CID, and we have adopted an approach of prosecution-guided investigations. That means the prosecutors are brought on board very early in the investigations. The moment a report of a criminal matter, high-profile matter, or any matter that we think is brought up, immediately it is brought to the attention of the director, and the prosecutor is assigned to work with the investigating team, and so that the processing of the investigations is guided in real time. We don't believe in the old approach where police receive the reports and investigate the matter and only bring on board the director or the prosecution when the investigations are done or they're complete. We believe in integrated working approach where you have the police and the investigator and the prosecutor working together. And so the investigator receives real-time guidance on the evidence to collect, the processes and the procedures to follow and what not to do, and the pitfalls to avoid. And that is for me, that's a very key strategy in assisting investigations. But also too, I have met with the director. We have agreed on a number of areas, including meaningful deployment of human resource, including recruitment of additional human resource, both in the office of the DPP and Uganda Police, including a digital transformation. We essentially have agreed to integrate our systems so that investigations are run digitally, and we are believing that will retain the integrity of investigations, but it also increase the investigations. But we are also doing joint trainings of our teams in the different areas, and so we do joint trainings with the police officers on how to collect evidence and how to carry out investigations, how to carry out witness interviews, how to handle evidence and things like this. I am confident in the coming few years the quality of investigations will significantly improve. In my view, the independence of the DPP we want to see, or the office we want to see, is really decisional independence. But I certainly don't believe it is independence of working alone in a silo, completely oblivious of what is happening around you, essentially being like an island. No, I don't think that is it. Decisional independence means when the DPP, in my view, is making a prosecutorial decision, is exercising his discretion to make a prosecutorial decision, which among them might include, do I commence a prosecution in this matter or do I not? And maybe sometimes after commencing a prosecution, do I continue with the prosecution or is it time to let it go? I believe that is the independence that the DPP really, I think Article 120 really likes it. But in the broader context, I believe independence relates to interdependence. That means we must work together with each other. After all, we're all part of the same government, and so of course everyone is always trying to influence the DPP's decision one way or another. Anyoli, I can assure you, if you had a case reported in a police post station against you, I think the first thing you will do is you run to the RSSA. You see, I am being witch hunted, unfairly being arrested by, I am being prosecuted, and so on. So we expect, as the office of the DPP, and you know the nature of our society, we expect people to come to our office and to try to influence our decision. But I believe the right way to do is to use our formal complaints handling mechanisms, because you are allowed to voice your views and to give us feedback about the cases we're handling, about you. But certainly the decision, the final decision, the prosecutorial decision must be made by the DPP or his officer. And I want to assure you, for the time I have been here, I have listened to people. Of course, they're always calling me, oh, DPP do this, do that. But ultimately, your decision must be independent of any of that. It must rest on the four corners of your police file, on the evidence that is gathered and the public interest which is in the matter. right now I can tell you, you call it whistleblower or witness protection, is one of the biggest challenges to the criminal justice system, and one of the biggest threats comes from witness intimidation through social media trolling and things like that, and it can have a very powerful impact on a witness. Just the sheer negative social media that a witness's cooperation with law enforcement is going to generate, and it has a tremendous impact on administration of justice. And so what do we have? What strategies do we have? Does the DPP have? I'm sure you're aware of the Whistleblowers Protection Act. It has been there, and so it provides a rigorous framework for protecting people who provide confidential information. But also internally, we have a robust mechanism of witness protection. In the office, we have a full department of witness protection and victim empowerment, whose sole mandate is really to work on issues with protection of witnesses, including whistleblowers. But two, there are very many mechanisms to protect whistleblowers. First of all, investigations by their nature are supposed to be very confidential. That means everyone is not supposed to know what has been happening within a particular investigation. In the context of anti-corruption or the fight against corruption or corruption cases, as you say it, certainly reports of corruption are treated with ultimate confidentiality. The challenge, of course, is the risk of victimization, the risk of substantiation of reports of corruption. If somebody provides the confidentially information to you, and sometimes you find a challenge in substantiating that information if you insisting on strict anonymity of the person. But because usually in the process there is a way in which you have to provide details to whoever you're going to investigate to respond. Sometimes you ask for more details, you want to know, you want to confront the person. Again, it's all about the fair trial rights, about natural justice to whoever, because if the person is a public officer, you don't want to be accused of using your anti-corruption crusade to victimize people for nothing. And so that usually is the challenge, but we work well with police. Police has a witness protection unit. I believe it is in the Crime Intelligence Directorate of Uganda Police. So we work very closely with them. But certainly, I don't think there is any whistleblower who, I would love to know one who has confidentially blown a whistle to the office of the DPP, and we have not done everything in our power to protect them. There are quite a number of challenges that arise in investigations that affect prosecution. Primarily, the quality of a prosecution is largely based on the quality of the investigations, and so if the quality of the investigations is low, you can be sure that the quality of the prosecution will also be low, and it might be an unsuccessful prosecution. But the major challenges which affect investigations that affect prosecutions are largely with the handling of, is largely usually related to the processes of investigation, the manner in which evidence is collected. Sometimes it's about the way of handling, the manner in which exhibits are handled, the manner in which a particular charge and caution statement, for example, a confession statement, is taken, and then also allegations of human rights abuses during investigations. All those are matters that affect prosecutions. I'm sure you're aware of the Human Rights Enforcement Act. And so we have had quite a number of challenges arising under that law. Challenges to prosecutions based on allegations of human rights abuses during investigations, and I think those are some of the major ones. And then also transfer of investigating officers is also a little bit of a challenge for us, because you find there is one officer who has investigated a matter. Halfway through the investigations, the officer is transferred, and it's a new officer. When you're going to court to prosecute, it's a new officer who doesn't know the witnesses, doesn't know the genesis of the case, where the case started from, and so on. I think those are some of the challenges in investigations that really affect prosecutions, but also ultimately the capability of investigating officers to do good investigations, to understand the key pieces of evidence that must be collected in order to make out a case, a credible prosecution case. Those are really, I would say, those are the major challenges in investigations that affect prosecutions. Again, it is our collaboration is very wonderful with a lot of these. Many of them are investigative agencies, State House Anti-Corruption Unit, the State House Drug Unit, CID, of course, which is ours, IGG. IGG has almost a corresponding prosecution mandate, and so for them, again, the IG is my very wonderful, the judge is my very wonderful friend, including all the deputy IGGs, and so we have an agreement in principle that we will collaborate in investigation of matters, particularly in terms of who is better placed to handle a matter. And so there are matters that come to me, but if it is my assessment that the IG is better placed to handle the matter, I refer it to her. And there are matters that come to her, and when they make an assessment that the DPP is better placed to handle it, they refer it to me. Ms. Anyoli, there are some very interesting people. They will whistleblow to the DPP, and they also whistleblow to the IG. So you find there's one matter IG is investigating, DPP is investigating, which really is a duplication of resources in my view, because this one matter is same resources coming from government. We are dedicating resources from two institutions, MDAs, to essentially work on the same matter. And that can lead to a problem, because imagine a case where the DPP carries out an investigation and says, no, I don't have sufficient matter in this one to proceed. And on the other hand, the IGG carries out investigation on the same matter and says, I have... so you have two state institutions arriving at completely different conclusions on the same matter, which can be very confusing to both sides. It creates loopholes for people to challenge our decisions. So in such a case, you can imagine the culprit might use the findings of the DPP to challenge the findings of the IG, or the other way around. And so we have sort of had in principle this agreement on how we cooperate on that. Case backlog, again, Anyoli, is the elephant in the room. It is what everyone is trying to fight. We are totally, both the judiciary and the DPP, I think we are totally dedicated to eliminating and resolving the problem of case backlog. I think in my opening address, I said one of the legacies I really want to leave is to significantly contribute to the reduction in case backlog. Of course, there are very many other strategies. Some of the causes of backlog are systemic, they're structural. they may not be overcome very quickly. But I think the number of interventions we can adopt to work on case backlog. One of the things we agreed with the judiciary is to digitize our processes in order to quicken resolution of cases. The judiciary has ECMIS, which is doing very well. It's been rolled out. We have PROCAMIS. The few challenges with it, we are trying to see if those challenges can... Sorry? We have PROCAMIS, prosecution, it's called prosecution case management. It's a case management information system. It is supposed to assist us to work with digital files instead of physical files. Of course, we have a few challenges with how it is. One of them is with integration. We realized that our system cannot integrate with ECMIS, and so we have gone to the table to review how we can improve it and update it so that we work together. But the point is, the principle is that we have agreed with the judiciary that adopting digital processes is one way of addressing case backlog. The second approach is, of course, to recruit more staff. We are grossly understaffed, particularly the office of the DPP, and that has also contributed to case backlog. We don't have enough officers to adequately handle the amount of work we have. And I think the judiciary agrees with us. Judiciary has been running ahead of us. They have recruited a little more than us. They have opened more cases, more courts than us. And so we have a number of close to 100 courts where we don't have prosecutors. And so one of my key, close to 100, I think there must be about 80, slightly above 80 courts where we have no prosecutors. Absolutely no prosecutors, and that's a big problem, because that means the magistrates are just mentioning their matters, and so they are not moving. And so we're trying to recruit staff, state attorneys, so that we can clear the work which is already there, the backlog which is there. But certainly, plea bargain is another intervention. It has been doing very well. We have worked closely with the judiciary and the Uganda Law Society through the state-paid advocates to roll out plea bargain. Plea bargain, it's done very well, I think, in the last few years. Plea bargain is the first intervention which has contributed significantly to reducing the case of backlog. Transnational organized crime has always been with us, and we have deliberately and purposefully prepared to handle transnational organized crime. One, we have improved our relationships in the region, because if you're talking about transnational organized crime, you're talking about crime that is committed across borders. And therefore, we have strengthened our relations in the region to ensure that we have good working relations with the other prosecutorial and investigating agencies in neighboring countries. And so our mutual legal assistance frameworks have improved. We are providing assistance to our neighbors, and they are also assisting us in terms of helping us do investigations in their countries. And I credit our countries in East African community. They have been very helpful in doing that. And so we've improved our international judicial cooperation in that aspect in order to tackle. We have also done a lot of joint trainings in the region with the help of our partners, the US government, the British government, UNODC, and a lot of other partners. So we have carried out a lot of joint trainings to see how we can cooperate more and coordinate more on cases of transnational organized crime. But internally, as I told you, we have been deliberate as the office of the DPP, and we have created the relevant units that we think will help us. That we have trained our officers in all those areas you have mentioned about money laundering, anti-corruption. The anti-corruption department in this office, purely dedicated to cases of money laundering. They have developed expertise, and we have very many money laundering cases we are prosecuting in the anti-corruption court. I don't have the statistics, but I could certainly ask the head of department to provide them to you. Cyber crimes, we have a dedicated unit for cyber crimes. And it is working. We are prosecuting a number of cases. I'm sure I already talked about the Bank of Uganda case. You heard about it. But there are also a lot of other cases. We have a cryptocurrency prosecution going on. We're prosecuting somebody for I think terrorism financing using cryptocurrency. And so that demonstrates our capability on what we can do. But you talked about sports betting. Yes, there is an investigation that we are leading about money laundering involving sports betting. Again, this office is being overwhelmed by criminal cases arising from land disputes. Now, Anyoli, you need to understand, and I want Ugandans to understand, that land disputes by themselves are civil disputes. They are not criminal disputes, okay? When two people are disagreeing over ownership of land, that is a civil dispute. It is not a criminal dispute. It is not a reason why somebody should go to jail, primarily. However, in the process of resolving land disputes, sometimes offenses are committed. But we have to be careful, because there's again a thin line between what is criminal and what is civil when it comes to land. In criminal matters, our standard of proof, we need to prove the guilt of somebody beyond reasonable doubt. That means we are looking for evidence beyond a certain standard to show that somebody committed a criminal offense. Our focus is on the elements of the offense. What are the ingredients of the offense? Are they present in that complaint? Are they present in the case? If they are not, we will not prosecute. If the elements are present, we will prosecute. But the challenge with land disputes is, in many cases, we find people are just criminalizing really purely land disputes. Again, I think it's unfair to compare me to Justice Abodo and to say, what are you going to be different from what Abodo didn't do? No. I think we are completely different people who just happen to occupy the same position successively. Justice Abodo was here. She did some great work, and really we credit her. Really great work, and her shoes are too big. I am not trying to fit into them. Yeah, I think I want to just continue wearing my own shoes, and so I don't want to say this is. This is what I will do differently, or this is what I will do. No, but certainly if you ask me what my focus for the office is, yes, I can tell you what my focus for the office is, why I want to drive the office. In the future, I want this to be a fully professional prosecution serving, driven by digital innovation.
New Vision TV. Stream smart, stream New Vision.